When a flight attendant refuses to serve a black passenger, it seems like another rude encounter. But when the pilot enters the situation, there's a shocking turn. Register now to see how this story changes everything. Ava Mitchell, a driven entrepreneur with a thriving consulting firm, boarded her morning flight from Atlanta, ready for another routine business trip. Seated by the window, she gazed out at the vast expanse of the sky, finding solace in the quiet moments before takeoff. Unlike many high-powered professionals, Ava embraced a modest approach to life. Her style was understated. No designer handbags, flashy outfits, or sparkling jewelry. She wore a simple blazer and carried a well-worn leather briefcase, reflecting her focus on substance over appearance. Ava had always preferred to let her work speak for itself, steering clear of the spotlight that many in her position craved. Despite her success, she moved through life without drawing attention. To most people, Ava was just another passenger, anonymous, unremarkable, blending seamlessly into the crowd. But beneath her composed exterior was a woman who had worked tirelessly to build a name for herself, overcoming countless obstacles along the way. For Ava, this flight was nothing more than another step in her journey, another meeting to attend, another deal to close. She had no idea that what started as a typical morning would soon turn into a pivotal moment that would challenge her values and redefine her sense of self-worth. As the passengers settled into their seats and the hum of the engines filled the cabin, flight attendant Linda began her rounds. Linda, a seasoned professional with years of experience, was known for her sharp, no-nonsense attitude. While her efficiency often earned her praise, her brusque demeanor occasionally rubbed passengers the wrong way. When Linda reached Ava Mitchell's row, she glanced at the quietly seated woman. Ava, dressed in a simple blazer and holding a worn leather briefcase, didn't catch Linda's attention as anyone significant. To Linda, she appeared to be just another ordinary passenger among the crowd. Without a smile or warmth, Linda spoke curtly. "Ma'am, please fasten your seatbelt. It's already past time to do so." Ava, startled by the sharp tone, quickly nodded and complied without hesitation. She reached for the belt and fastened it with a quiet click. "Of course," she responded softly, her voice calm and polite. But Linda wasn't done. "The seatbelt sign is on. Everyone else is following the rules, and you should too," Linda added, her words dripping with irritation. Ava felt the subtle sting of the interaction. She had been minding her own business, causing no disruption, yet the flight attendant's tone and demeanor felt unnecessarily harsh. Ava had encountered moments like this before, situations where assumptions were made about her based on how she looked or presented herself. While she didn't respond, the judgment in Linda's tone and eyes was clear, making it feel more personal than procedural. Though Ava remained composed, the exchange lingered in her mind. She couldn't help but wonder why she had been singled out. The quiet discomfort settled in, and for the first time that morning, Ava felt as though she didn't quite belong. As the flight progressed, Ava Mitchell tried to refocus on her work, but she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling Linda had left behind. The flight attendant continued to make her rounds, but Ava noticed that Linda's gaze seemed to linger on her more often than necessary. Each time Linda walked past, Ava felt the weight of her scrutiny, as though the flight attendant was waiting for her to make even the smallest misstep. The tension in the air was palpable. Other passengers, having noticed the earlier interaction, cast occasional glances in Ava's direction but remained silent. Ava, ever composed, didn't react outwardly, but inside, her thoughts raced. The incident wasn't just about the seatbelt. It felt like something deeper, a subtle but unmistakable judgment that Ava couldn't ignore. Needing to share her frustration, Ava reached for her phone. She sent a brief text to her husband Daniel, a man who had always encouraged her to stand up for herself. "I had a strange encounter with one of the flight attendants. She was unnecessarily rude, and I can't help but feel it's because of how I look. It's frustrating." As she hit send, Ava hoped Daniel would understand. Though she hadn't planned to escalate the matter, she also knew she couldn't let it go entirely unnoticed. Ava stared at her phone after sending the message to her husband, Daniel. She wasn't sure what to expect from him, but she trusted his judgment. Daniel was a calm, level-headed man with a natural talent for resolving issues. As the CEO of a major corporation, he was no stranger to managing complex situations and ensuring fairness. Despite his busy schedule, Ava knew he would take the time to respond. Moments later, her phone buzzed, and she saw his reply. "I'll handle it. Don't worry about it." The words, though brief, carried a sense of assurance and strength that Ava had always admired in her husband. She felt a wave of calm wash over her. Daniel wasn't one to make empty promises or act impulsively. If he said he would handle it, she could trust that he would follow through. Though curious about how Daniel planned to address the situation, Ava chose not to press him for details. She knew better than to underestimate him. He had a way of addressing problems decisively, but with a level of professionalism that ensured lasting impact. Over the years, Daniel had often reminded Ava of her worth, encouraging her to stand firm when faced with unfair treatment. This time was no different. As Ava settled back in her seat, her mind replayed the brief but unsettling interaction with Linda. While she didn't want to dwell on it, she couldn't ignore the gnawing discomfort that had lingered since the moment the flight attendant first spoke to her. It wasn't just about the rude tone or the unnecessary remarks. It was the implication that Ava didn't belong, that she wasn't deserving of the same respect as everyone else on the flight. Daniel's response, however, gave her a renewed sense of confidence. He had always been her strongest supporter, the one person who could make her feel seen and valued even in the most challenging moments. His message reminded her that she wasn't alone in this, that someone who loved and respected her deeply was willing to stand up for her when it mattered most. Although Ava wasn't sure what steps Daniel would take, she trusted that his approach would be thoughtful and impactful. Whether it involved speaking to someone at the airline or addressing the situation more broadly, she knew he would ensure that the underlying issue was acknowledged and resolved. For Daniel, this wasn't just about defending his wife. It was about standing against the kind of treatment that no one should have to endure. Ava leaned back, staring at the message one last time. The words seemed simple, but they carried the weight of Daniel's unwavering support and love. As the plane continued its journey, Ava felt a flicker of hope that this uncomfortable experience might lead to something positive, not just for her, but for anyone else who had ever been treated unfairly. With Daniel's promise to handle the situation, Ava allowed herself to let go of the tension and focus on the rest of her flight, trusting that justice would soon follow. As the plane touched down and the seatbelt sign turned off, Ava Mitchell remained seated, watching as passengers around her began gathering their belongings. She took a deep breath, steadying herself for what she knew she had to do. After the earlier encounter, Ava had no intention of letting the matter go without addressing it. She stood, her heels clicking purposefully against the cabin floor, and walked toward the front of the plane where the flight attendants were stationed. Linda, still unaware of what was coming, greeted Ava with a polite but superficial smile. "Have a nice day," she offered, her earlier rudeness seemingly forgotten. But Ava didn't return the smile. Instead, she stopped, meeting Linda's gaze directly. "I'm not here to argue," Ava began, her tone calm but resolute. "I just want you to know that the way you treated me earlier was unacceptable. The disrespect wasn't just about what you said. It was about how you assumed I didn't belong." Linda's expression faltered. The confidence she had displayed earlier now replaced with visible discomfort. Ava continued, her voice unwavering. "I don't expect special treatment, but I do expect respect, as should every passenger on this flight." For the record, I'm not just anyone. I'm the wife of the airline's owner, and I believe he'd want to know how his customers are being treated." The revelation left Linda visibly shaken. Her face paled, and she stammered, attempting an apology, but Ava had already made her point. Without another word, she turned and walked toward the exit, leaving Linda to grapple with the weight of her actions.
As Ava stood in front of Linda, her calm yet firm demeanor commanded the flight attendant's full attention. The cabin around them seemed to quiet as Ava spoke, her voice steady and deliberate. "This isn't just about me," she began, her tone carrying the weight of her words. "It's about how people are treated not based on their appearance, their clothing, or any assumptions you might make, but simply because they are human beings deserving of respect."
Linda's expression shifted, the initial confidence she displayed now replaced by a flicker of unease. Ava continued, her gaze unwavering. "I understand that this is your job, and it's not always easy, but that doesn't excuse judging someone based on what you think you see. I may not fit the image of what you expect, but that doesn't make me any less worthy of dignity." Pausing for a moment, Ava allowed her words to sink in before delivering the point that Linda and everyone listening needed to hear. "The way you treat people matters, not just for me, but for everyone who boards this plane, everyone who comes to you expecting kindness or fairness, and everyone who has ever been made to feel like they don't belong. No one should have to prove their worth just to be treated with decency." The cabin air felt heavier as Ava's words lingered. She looked Linda in the eye, her voice softening but remaining resolute. "This isn't just about an apology. It's about changing how you see people. Because respect isn't something you give selectively, it's something you owe to everyone." With that, Ava stepped back, leaving Linda to absorb the lesson she hoped would resonate far beyond this single flight. Later that evening, Ava Mitchell sat in her living room, reflecting on the events of the day, when her phone buzzed with a call from her husband Daniel. His calm, authoritative voice carried both reassurance and resolution. "I've spoken to the airline," he began. "Linda has been addressed directly about her behavior, and she now understands the impact of her actions. But we're not stopping there. I've initiated changes to the training programs for all staff to ensure that respect and dignity are at the core of how passengers are treated moving forward." Ava felt a sense of relief wash over her. It wasn't just about Linda, it was about creating a better experience for everyone. Daniel's swift action reinforced her belief that standing up for herself had been the right decision. As they ended the call, Ava knew this moment had sparked meaningful change, turning an unpleasant encounter into an opportunity for growth. As Ava Mitchell reflected on the day's events, she realized her actions had extended beyond addressing a single moment of disrespect. By standing up to Linda's judgmental behavior, she had challenged deeper prejudices and reinforced the importance of basic human dignity. It wasn't just about her experience, it was about setting a precedent for others who might face similar treatment. The incident had become a reminder that everyone deserves respect, regardless of appearance or status. For Ava, it wasn't about seeking revenge, but about creating awareness and fostering change. Her stand sent a powerful message. Dignity and respect are not privileges earned, but rights everyone is entitled to, shaping how people see and treat one another. The story highlights the power of standing up against bias and prejudice, emphasizing the need to advocate for respect and fairness in daily interactions. It serves as a reminder that dignity should never be determined by appearance or assumptions. By addressing these moments, even in small ways, individuals can create ripple effects that challenge societal norms and encourage greater empathy. This narrative underscores that treating others with respect is not just a courtesy but a fundamental value that can drive meaningful change.